How you doing, YouTube? Matt, Massive Beer Reviews. I'm back with yet another review. A little bit of Saison Brett funkiness, most likely, in the form of Propolis Brewing. It's their Granette. This is a 5-grain Saison with Brett, brewed with sage, hyssop, no idea what that is, and thyme. They're from Port Townsend, Washington, and I've never heard of them before. Yeah, just a local distributor. This was sitting on the shelf and it just kind of caught my eye. You know, it's pretty slick labeling, a little bit of soft, gentle, like beeswax style wax up top, and yeah, kind of just piqued my interest. Usually when I go into bottle shops and I look up beers or I kind of check into beers, I don't really like do a bunch of research. Even beers that I don't think I'm going to review, I just kind of just go off of gut feel. So this one kind of just, I don't know. I wanted to pick it up. It's a really long-winded way to say I wanted to grab this beer because it looked cool. Yeah, so 2016 edition, field crafted series, Propolis Brewing Granette, 5-grain Brett Saison, brewed with sage, hyssop, and thyme. Port Townsend, Washington, 4.5% alcohol by volume, and they actually go out of their way to do this kind of like graph grid on flavors and tasting notes and stuff. I don't know, whatever. It's a petite 5-grain Saison Brett brewed with me. Same thing on the back. There's a quote on the back, all that kind of stuff. You know what? Just gonna show you the label. I dig it. I like the way it looks. It's cool. It's got this little soft wax up top. We're gonna crack it. We're gonna drink it. Yeah, I liked how it looked, and then all of a sudden, there's a cork involved. I don't know if I have a wine key on me. I didn't even go out of my way to really even pay attention to be like, oh, there's a cork in there because of the wax and stuff. So I gotta go get a wine key. So excuse me. Yeah, so we're back. Get a wine key. Yeah, just the way that wax. I mean, you can't tell that there's cork in there. Come on now. So yeah, corked beer, a little bit even fancier than I thought. That means it's definitely gonna be good. You know, you have the wax and the fancy label. We'll see what's what. Barely got that to the point where I actually grabbed the edge of the bottle. So yeah, let's dive in. A little bit of a momentary lapse of fluidity. Is that the proper way to kind of phrase it? But let's get this an aggressive pour. I like this glass for a Saison, but it doesn't really pour all that well when it comes to Saison. So usually I pour it pretty gently. But this one, I actually was pouring it and wasn't generating much of a head, so I decided to kind of toss it in there. And what do we have? It's a really weird looking beer. It has this really dense kind of honey vibed haze to it. Now you're talking about the Propolis, there's a B on there. So, I mean, the Propolis thing with the B, I'm assuming there's some kind of bee base to it, some kind of honey base. Could be like a, I believe Evan from, wow, spacing, from Plan B Brewing propagates a lot of his yeast from honey bases and stuff like that. So it could be the case. Now the reason why I call this one really weird is it has that rich kind of honey kind of hue and core to it. But if you look, I don't know if you can get it on camera. There's this, I can get like light through certain sections of it. Like it's like right here I can see through the beer, but here I can't, and over here I can see through a little bit. Now it might be a little bit of the way the light is kind of playing tricks on my brain here, but it almost like it's like it hasn't mixed with itself completely. Like there's two separate entities, like water and vinegar. It looks like that from a distance, but that's probably not the case. There's a subtle carbonation to it, rich haze, a tiny particulate, definitely kind of honey looking, and a bright white head to her. So she looks a part of a Saison, let's put it that way. But yeah, weird beer. Let's get a nose. Yeah, I mean, it's got a rich graininess to it. They're talking about a 5-grain thing here. It's mostly wheat, at least on my nose. A nice weediness, followed by that soft little non-Brett C, more like a old school kind of Brett barnyardy kind of horse blanket kind of thing going on. There's a nice soft kind of peach skinny kind of fruit character to it. A soft pepperiness. Very soft. But yeah, that peach skin jumps out at me even more and more every time I take a sip. It has that soft funkiness, but nothing too crazy. So if you told me this wasn't a Brett beer, I probably wouldn't be like, no, there's definitely Brett in here. It just comes off as more of a rich Saison base with an added fruited component to it. I don't know if that's the hops at play there. They're talking about having that kind of sage hyssop. I have no idea what that smells like in time. I'm not getting any of that kind of herbal, kind of spicy, medicinal kind of thing you get from a lot of herbs like that. It's more fruit forward, solid Saison base. American through and through. There's no bubble gum or anything like that crazy going on there, but there's a nice sweetness to it with a soft kind of herbal kind of bitterness. From the hops, not from the spices. Anyway, let's dive in. Cheers. Yeah, a kicked up tartness. Based off nose, you wouldn't expect that level of acidity to it, that level of tartness to it. It's not huge, but it's bigger than what the nose lets on. It's definitely thin. Even thinner than what this style should be like. So that's probably its biggest knock, but everything else is pretty positive stuff. Like I said, that tartness is nice. It gives you that I'm drinking something beyond a base beer and something beyond a Berliner kind of beer. It has a bit more of a funky tartness to it. Something beyond kettle. There's that fruit, that peach just comes through like crazy. It's almost like they don't talk about any kind of fruit in this beer as far as what they're putting into it. Now, there's a little grid back here that I didn't really kind of read into. It says it leans citrus and fruit estery with a bit of herbal. I get the herbal. I get the fruit ester, definitely. Now, citrus, I would go a little bit more peachy on this, especially like peach skin. But the way it's showing, it's almost like if you told me this is like close to kind of a stone fruit orchard, I would totally get that. What else? Yeah, she's got this. It's super drinkable. It's a dinner beer. It's something in a crack open to complement or to replace the flavors that you're not getting in your food. So you're gonna go with something that either is going to work with that acidity in it, or let that acidity sing and bring the dish that you're going to be eating to the next level. It's not something that is going to kind of be a session beer for me, or something I'm going to bring to a share with a bunch of neck beers to kind of wow them. But I don't think that's what the beer's trying to be to begin with. It's well made. It's weird because I'm kind of having a really hard time kind of explaining the good portions of the beer as opposed to what kind of doesn't do it for me. There's really not much in it besides the mouthfeel that doesn't do it for me. But all the other flavors are fun. They're tasty. They're bright, but there's maybe a lack of cohesiveness in it to where all those flavors are individual and they're not just melding all that well. Maybe that's my kind of hesitation from really kind of loving the beer, but I like it. It drinks well. That added bit of acidity to it kind of makes the beer for me, while that kind of lack of mouthfeel kind of knocks it down a peg for me. Good beer. Let's put it that way. I forget what the actual cost was on this. I think there was a price tag at one point or another, but I think I paid less than $10 for this. So you're talking about a wild Brett beer in a 750 format for less than $10. I mean, from what I'm tasting, the price point that it's being delivered at, that's freaking fantastic. Yeah. So yeah, bit thin, nice pop of acidity, getting that nice kind of peach skin throughout the whole thing. There's a nice sweetness to it. There's enough bittering to kind of bounce everything off, and it comes off as a kind of, lack of a better term, generic Saison with really cool points to it. So let's talk about it. It's one of the better Saison that I've had as of late. It's not on the outside. It's not on the inside. It's definitely on the cusp. I do dig it. I like it. This is going to be drank. I'm going to drink this all night. It's a beer that is soft enough to where it's going to be welcoming and drinkable all night long, but it lacks enough personality to really kind of get me all kind of hot and bothered. Value and availability, like I said, I paid less than $10 for a 750 format off the shelf. That doesn't suck, and leave you with, if you like what we like this beer, if you like Saison. It does have some traits, very familiar traits with a lot of kind of Belgian Saison that I've had over the years. And by that I mean was a ton ton of Belgian Saison like 20 years ago, just kind of floating around in the dark corners of a lot of unique boutique bottle shops, and a lot of them are underwhelming from a lot of breweries that just either don't distribute it outside the outside of Belgium anymore, or just aren't imported. And this kind of reminds me of that. It's nice, it's quaint, it's tasty, it's fun. It'll do what it's supposed to do, and it'll work in a specific situation, but it doesn't kind of set itself apart as something that's, I don't know. I don't want to use the word like showy or exciting or anything like that, because that's not the word I want to apply to any Saison that's really fantastic. It just lacks a little bit of pizzazz, a little chutzpah. I use that when I actually can't think of the word, so chutzpah, we'll go with that one. So yeah, it's fun, it's tasty, it's nice. I would pick it up. If you see the sub $10, you're going to a dinner, pick this up. You're going to win with that. But if you're looking for something that's going to wow you, it might leave you a little bit wanting. There you go. Another review in the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Down there if you want to talk about it. Massive Beers if you want to check me out doing the social media stuff. Beer Massive if you want to check me out doing the whole podcasting thing. And hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully enjoying a nice little Washington-based Saison right now. And we'll see you next time. Cheers.